If you're a parent, the childhood immunization schedule can feel, well, a bit like a complex map you're trying to navigate. But it's actually a really carefully planned journey designed to build your child's protection against some pretty serious diseases. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down that official UK schedule into a simple, clear guide, all the way from a baby's very first jabs to their teenage boosters. Let's dive in.
So, what do these three ages have in common? I mean, they look pretty far apart, right? Well, it turns out they are all key milestones in your child's life for building and then boosting their immunity. Each of these appointments delivers crucial protection that can last for years and, in some cases, even a lifetime.
We'll walk through this whole journey just as your child would experience it. First up, we'll see how protection can start right from day one. Then we'll cover that super busy first year for jabs. After that, we'll look at the toddler and preschool boosters, move on to school-aged immunizations, and finally, we'll touch on those selective and annual vaccines. It's a clear roadmap of your child's entire vaccination journey.
Now, while the routine schedule really kicks off a little later, it's worth knowing that for some babies, protection can begin right from birth. This all depends on their specific circumstances, but it's all about setting that foundation for the amazing shield of immunity that's going to be built over the next few years. Okay, let's get into that first year, because this is definitely the most intensive period for vaccinations. These early appointments are all about building the core foundation of your baby's immunity against a whole host of serious childhood illnesses. This is where the real groundwork happens.
So that first year is basically broken down into 4 key appointments. It all kicks off at 8 weeks with the very first round of major vaccines. That round is then repeated at 12 weeks. Then at 16 weeks, there's a third dose, plus a new vaccine gets introduced. The whole thing culminates at the 1-year mark, a huge milestone with some really important boosters.
Okay, let's zoom in on those first appointments. At both 8 and 12 weeks, your baby will get 3 vaccines. There's the famous 6-in-1, which is a single injection protecting against 6 diseases. Then there's another injection for meningitis B. And finally, the rotavirus vaccine, which is actually just given as liquid drops into their mouth. They get the exact same set both times, and that's to build up a really strong initial immune response. You know, that 6-in-1 injection is an incredible piece of medical science. It packs a huge amount of protection into just one shot. It covers diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, polio, Hib, which can cause meningitis, and hepatitis B. And protecting against whooping cough this early is absolutely vital because newborns are the most vulnerable to really serious complications from that illness. All right, let's move on to the 16-week appointment. At this visit, your baby gets their third and final dose of that 6-in-1 vaccine. And this is also when a brand new vaccine is introduced, the PCV. This one protects against 13 different types of pneumococcal bacteria, which are nasty bugs that can cause serious illnesses like pneumonia and meningitis. The 1-year appointment, this is a big one. This is where we see the first boosters for both pneumococcal and meningitis B, which really strengthen the immunity that's been built up so far. And it also marks the introduction of the MMRV vaccine, protecting against 4 diseases in one go: measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella, which you probably know better as chickenpox.
And just like that, we're entering the toddler and preschool years. The focus here really shifts from building that initial immunity to reinforcing it. Think of these boosters as vital top-ups, making sure that the protection stays strong and lasts right through childhood.
Okay, this is a really important one to be aware of because there's been a recent schedule change at the 18-month mark. So if your child was born on or before June 30th, 2024, there's no routine appointment here. But for children born on or after July 1st, 2024, a new appointment has been added for booster doses of both the 6-in-1 and the MMRV vaccines. And that change at 18 months has a knock-on effect for the preschool booster, which is given at around 3 years and 4 months. So children born in 2024 or earlier will get 2 vaccines, the 4-in-1 booster and the MMRV. But for kids born from January 1st, 2025 onwards, it'll just be the 4-in-1 booster, because they'll have already had their MMRV booster back at 18 months. As children grow up and enter their school years, the schedule continues. These immunizations are all about providing essential, long-term protection against diseases that can become more common or more serious when you're a teenager. Sometime between the ages of 12 and 13, all children are offered the HPV vaccine. This one is so important because it protects against the types of HPV that cause most cases of cervical cancer, as well as several other cancers in both men and women and genital warts. It's usually given right at school, which makes it super convenient. Then, at age 14, usually in year 9, teenagers get 2 more boosters. The first is the TDIPV vaccine, which tops up their protection against tetanus, diphtheria, and polio. The second is the MenACWY vaccine, and this one protects against 4 different groups of meningococcal bacteria that can cause meningitis and septicemia. So really crucial stuff.
All right, for our final section, let's cover the vaccines that aren't part of that standard timeline for every single child. These are given either annually to specific at-risk groups or during pregnancy to provide that extra bit of protection right when it's needed most. Just think about that simple rhythm for a second. 1 dose every single year. It's the key to protecting against a virus that is constantly changing and evolving. And of course, we're talking about the annual flu vaccine. It's offered every autumn to eligible children from the age of 2. For most kids, it's a simple and completely painless nasal spray, though there is an injection available if the spray isn't suitable for them for any reason. Now, some babies need extra protection literally right from the start. The BCG vaccine, for example, is offered to newborns who might be at a higher risk of tuberculosis. There's also a special multi-dose schedule for the hepatitis B vaccine that begins right at birth for babies whose mothers have the infection. And believe it or not, protection can start even before a baby is born. Pregnant women are advised to have the flu vaccine, a pertussis vaccine to guard their newborn against whooping cough, and an RSV vaccine to protect the baby from serious respiratory illness. This actually passes antibodies to the baby, protecting them in those first few very vulnerable months of life. So when you step back and look at it all together, from birth all the way through to the teenage years, it's not just a series of appointments, is it? It's a complete, carefully designed shield. It protects not only your child, but helps to create a healthier, more protected generation for everyone. Which brings us to a final thought. As a parent, you have so many things to track and remember. So what is the single most important schedule to follow for your child's long-term health? Well, this journey we've just walked through makes a very strong case that following the routine immunization plan is one of the most powerful things you can do.